introduction.
No people.
Hi, everybody.
Wow, are we live?
We are live in the
Awesome.
midst of conversation, which is kind of how life is. So you might as well catch us that way. We are Heather and Michael Clark. This is our channel, Running Totally Free, and you haven't seen this guy in a while. This is Michael.
Oh, thanks for combing my hair. I'm a little worried.
Abby's the makeup artist, and she's making sure that Daddy looks perfect.
Nice.
So I have mentioned quite a few times that I would actually interview Michael about his weight loss journey because I think it's pretty significant. And since we call ourselves Running Totally Free,
I think we're good.
and we want to encourage others to have physical freedom as well as spiritual and financial freedom. We wanted to be able to share with you the things that we've done to find physical freedom. And of course, one of those is in our physical fitness. And so I told Michael that I had some questions that I wanted to ask him. Okay,
Awesome.
So you ready?
I'm ready. Fire away.
All right. So,
Buttons.
have you always been thin?
No, I've not always been thin.
Do you want to show everybody your physique? You want to just stand up so they can see that you are thin?
Okay, so I am
Getting a little skin in Running Totally Free.
no striptease.
He did. Michael didn't always look that way. I wish we had brought some photos of you. From before.
As large, yeah. I tended to not want to get my picture taken, so I avoided.
But we do have pictures.
But I'm sure we do.
We do have pictures.
Do you have pictures of me as large man?
Yes. And the thing is that Michael tended to carry weight in his neck and face. So even though he was trying to cover up down here, you could still tell in here. That was always how I knew when he was losing weight, was that this would go away. And he'd have like skinny man neck and jawline. So
I didn't shave today.
Well, you know that shadow gives you even more definition.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Dad,
I think that's why they have guys
you look like sunburn.
Have the whole
Wait.
rough 5 o'clock shadow. It's supposed to be sexy and all that. Make them look skinny. All right, so next question. So does thin, I couldn't think of a better word. Does what would be the word?
Fit?
Does fitness, does being fit, does being thin, well, maybe being thin, though, run in your family?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. There are people on both sides of my family that are thin, and there's people on both sides of my family that are not thin.
Okay.
Or the people that have struggled with trying to be thin.
Yeah. Okay. So have you seen anyone else in your family, particularly as you were growing up? Did you see any people doing anything to in their struggle with weight loss? Did you see them, maybe exercising, or they were dieting?
Yeah, I mean, people on both sides of my family probably, maybe more on my mom's side, different diets that came along that they would try out and try to have success, and they'd have success for a short period of time, and then, would kind of fade away. I don't think exercise was, I can't remember, growing up, anybody using exercise as a means to try to get thin or to have weight loss. Actually, my stepmother, Mary, she was very avid exerciser. She used to do the Jane Fonda videos.
Right, because that was the time of.
Yeah, so she did those things religiously, and she walked, and I mean, she really watched her diet. So I take that back. Of all the people growing up, she was probably the only one
So your stepmom.
Yeah, who practiced fitness and then tried to eat healthfully.
Fully, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she really, for a long time, watched what she ate.
And I thought I recalled you saying that at one point that your grandfather walked a lot. Is
My
that true?
grandfather.
Which
yes,
grandfather?
my
Little grand?
My father's great father, who was little grandpa, and my mother's father, who was big grandpa. Little grandpa. You do me a favor. Can you give me a glass of water? Little grandpa, for as long as I can remember, walked at least every night after dinner,
Yeah.
and sometimes would walk late at night as well, or walk the golf course. He was an avid walker. So even when we'd play golf and there'd be a golf cart, he'd want to walk.
Yeah.
He'd want somebody else to drive the cart. So I remember as a kid, many nights going on late night walks with him.
Yeah.
And we would walk, maybe 5 miles,
Mm.
and it'd be the middle of winter and we'd be out there walking and we would talk, and, that was his exercise.
Yeah.
And I take that back to about exercise. He used to do hand grip things,
Yeah, my dad
and,
did that too.
that you would squeeze. And I think he had little weights too, where he would do.
Do you think he was doing that for
curls.
golf?
I'm sure some of it was for golf. I mean, he was older at that point. I mean, when I was born, he was probably 56, something like that.
Yeah.
So he was still a young man. But yeah, as long as I could remember, he was a walker.
Yeah. Okay. All right. My third question was, which I guess you pretty much answered, was, was there anything that you learned or that you saw exemplified by others in your family, which I think you answered.
Yeah.
So-
And my I take it back too. My grandfather and grandmother would take vitamins every day, and she would watch what he would eat. She even though they would eat some rich foods, they would eat bran muffins in the morning and fruits and vegetables or granola or hot cereal. I think he was big on hot oatmeal.
Mm-hmm.
So they did try to eat it for the best that they knew how, try to eat healthfully.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, what did you weigh before you weighed this?
I think that my top weight was 206 pounds.
Okay. And so what do you weigh now?
This morning I was 148,
Okay.
and I've kind of gone, I've been in the 140s now for a little while. So the lowest I've been is 142. And now I've kind of been in a ice cream candy mode the last couple of weeks. So,
Yeah.
but I've
Considering.
I've upped my running a little bit. I've started training. So yeah, I'm 148. So what is that?
What did you say your top weight was?
206.
Okay.
So that's 58 pounds.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I've been the 145 to 150 range here.
Oh, Daddy,
Yeah.
I just checked how much I weighed on the scale,
Yeah.
and I'm 51.8.
Wow, you just are big enough to get on the zip line.
Yeah. And see, we want you to grow. It's good for you to gain weight because
Yeah.
that means you're growing. That's healthy.
Mhm.
Yes. So, what made you decide that you needed a change? That you were done being 206 pounds?
Well, this was my second time
yeah.
of weight loss. So, I mean, there's been multiple times in my life where I've been heavier and experienced weight loss. One time I was around 21 when I moved back from California,
Yeah.
and I was lifting weights, and I think it got up to like 195 pounds, and then became, I was strict vegetarian, and I think I dropped to like 150 something. Then right before we got married, when I was an intern,
He was on the intern
So-
income, the intern
you know, I had to raise
diet.
funds to be a pastoral intern, and I would buy my food and stick it in the fridge from the money that I had. And I don't know what I weighed when we got married, but I would think it was probably something around what I am now.
Yes.
I was skinny just because there wasn't food.
I thought I was marrying a skinny man.
Yeah. So I was probably something like this, maybe a little bigger. And then, 10 years into marriage, you married.
Well, no, it was much faster.
Okay, but I was skinny when we first got married, and then at some point in our marriage, I started gaining weight.
Yeah.
And I think when my first weight loss, as a grown person happened, started right before I was 40. So I was 39.
Yeah,
It was
I thought
March.
it was before we were pregnant with her.
It was March of my 39th year. So before I turned 40, it was that March.
Uh-huh.
And we were getting ready to celebrate our 10-year anniversary. And I read a book by, what's his name? Sparks.
Nicholas Sparks.
I read a book by Nicholas Sparks called The Wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And in this book, the guy in the book was about to celebrate his 25th anniversary and forgot his anniversary. And his wife, pretty much, but she was so crushed that she eventually wound up moving out of the house for a short time and living with her son in New York. And for this year, the guy was trying to figure out what he could do to fix this. How can I fix this? So he had a plan for a year of how he was going to make this right. And one of the things he did was he walked every day, I think 5 miles every day in the book. And he wound up in the book, the guy lost maybe 25 pounds. And he did a whole bunch of other stuff to kind of make things right. And I don't want to ruin it for anyone. It was an excellent book. I don't know why I haven't read it again since, but it's a great story, and I don't want to give it away other than the fact that he takes a year to try to fix his screw up. So the book's called The Wedding by Nicholas Sparks. So I started, inspired by that book, I started walking in March of whatever our 10th year anniversary, it would have been March of 1999.
That's when we got
No,
married.
March, sorry,
2009.
March of 2009, I started walking.
I wasn't before she. Huh. Okay.
And for the first, I was very, I think it was somewhere around 195, 196 pounds then. And I started walking every day for maybe 3 months
Mm-hmm.
of walking. And then I think I dropped maybe 20 pounds walking. And we had a teacher in school who Noah is named after, Lawrence Bodley, who was a marathon runner, and he ran, I don't know how many marathons, but he was an older fella, and I was always amazed by him. We tried running 5 miles with him once, and I thought I was going to die,
It's funny to think back
I
to that,
thought-
like
Yes.
how hard
Remember
that
how in
was.
Walden you would have Noah and I, and you get our running shoes on, get running socks on, get running clothes on. We run all around Walden.
Yeah.
We would.
Everywhere.
If I recall,
Yeah.
you had your weight at one of the houses.
Yeah,
you
that
had
was
your
in-
weight up on the
That was
bulletin
in
board.
Heron Bay. I had a thing where I had my goal weight on top,
Yeah.
What was it?
and I
I don't remember what your
want
goal
to
weight
say
was.
it changed a couple times. I think originally it was maybe 165 pounds was my original goal.
And then you lowered it a little.
And then once a week, I would take my weight and I would write it down.
Mm-hmm.
And I was using an app on my phone. I think at some point I started using a weight loss app on my phone to track my running and calories. Anyway, long story short, I started running. Then I ran a half marathon. Or my first race was a half marathon. So I hadn't participated in the first race until November of that year.
Mm-hmm.
I ran the half marathon in Atlanta on Thanksgiving. And soon after running that, or before that, I started a running club,
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta Southside Runners, which now is still flourishing, but without my involvement. So I started that club, and I don't know how many people are in it, maybe 700-800 people now. Anyway, started the running club, and then decided I wanted to run a full marathon and trained for that. And that 1 year after I started walking, I ran, which was then the ING Atlanta Marathon, which is now the Publix Marathon. So 1 year from when it actually might have been March 27th, which was our anniversary. It was right around there. So 1 year after I started walking, I ran my first marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And then the running club started getting bigger, and I ran a number of marathons after that. The most notable for me was running the New York City Marathon, just as an experience. And the work and doing the running club became just too much. I was having a breakdown. And so I stepped aside from the running club, experienced an injury. And that injury and the problems that associated with it probably lasted for about 2.5 years, maybe almost 3 years. And during that time of injury and general depression for not being able to run, I gained all the weight. I gained everything back and more.
Yeah.
And eventually, last year?
Yeah, it had to be last year, because I think the last pictures we have of you are when Gabe was born, was when you were at your highest weight.
So, but I went to the foot doctor.
Yes, because we said, well, we're getting all this medical stuff done.
Yeah.
You had the week off because Gabe was born. And we said, you know what? We need to have your foot finally looked at.
So
we went to the foot doctor.
So when was that?
And that was, Gabe was born March 15th.
15th.
So it was just a couple days later. It was like that Thursday.
So, the same month, I don't know how many years later. That is 5 years later, 6 years.
I don't know. I'm not
2009,
2015. Mm-hmm.
But it was probably 3 years after injury, but 6 years after I started March of 2009, this journey. March of 2015 is when I finally went to a foot doctor, and he put me in a walking boot for 6 weeks. And I came out of the walking boot and I was still in pain, which was disheartening.
Maybe that thing that looked like a cast.
Yeah, so I was in the walking boot.
I think an integral part of that too, that experience, at least for me as your wife, but I think for you too, was that when we were at that appointment, they took his blood pressure.
Yeah.
And his blood pressure was out of control. It was like 140, or it was something.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was unbelievable. And I was floored. I just couldn't believe that his blood pressure at his age was that high. And I was very concerned and thinking, oh my gosh, we need to do a follow through with our family doctor, because this is crazy. Now he's going to have to go on pills for his blood pressure. And it was really looking ugly.
So yeah, my health was horrible.
You weren't getting sleep.
I wasn't sleeping. Stress.
It was really high.
And anyway, during the time that I wasn't, those 3 years, I would try running, start running. I would start getting some momentum, and then I would have this pain. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know
well-
how it goes. I don't know how you go 3 years.
Okay, well, let's get back to then, so, because I think the thing that people probably want to know, because there are people in a very similar situation as yours, where they have struggled up and down with their weight. Maybe they had some success at one time, but then, they had a big fail, what they feel like is a big fail.
Yeah.
And so now they're like, can I honestly do this again? And it's even worse this time because I'm older. It's more, especially for as we get older, it
Yeah.
feels like it's getting more challenging. Our body's fighting us. So I think if you could maybe tell them some specific things that you did that you think anybody else could do as well. For instance, you didn't do any dieting program. Never in this experience in this past year did you say to me, I'm going to start up this dieting program. I'm going to go call up Weight Watchers, or I'm going to go on Slim Fast. I mean, I know people have had success with those things, but that's not what you did.
No. So from the time I got my foot looked at to the time things changed for me was probably about June, April, May, June.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 months after Gabe's born, and a couple months after the boot was off,
Mm-hmm.
I woke up June 12th of 2015,
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason unbeknownst to me, I still don't know why, I didn't have a drink
Of alcohol.
of alcohol. So up until June 12th of 2015, I couldn't tell you the last time before that day that I had a drink. So I would come home from work, and because of the stress and just not being able to sleep, I would drink bourbon, mostly bourbon, beer. So I would drink, everybody's asleep, and I could drink up to a half bottle of bourbon, a 6-pack of beer, something like that, or a couple beers and a good amount of bourbon. And I got to the point where I'd sent a text to a friend of mine, Jeremy, who I worked with, and I said, I was in the middle of having drunk a lot of alcohol, so let's put my state of mind. And I texted him and said, is it okay that I can drink bourbon like water? Is that normal? And he said something back to me, probably a joke of some kind, but I think that's something. It was shortly before I quit that the realization hit me that I was able to drink liquor like I could take a glass and go and just down it. It didn't affect me. It didn't taste burn, and that scared me. So anyway, June 12th, I woke up of 2015, and when I got to the end of the night, when I would normally drink, I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then I woke up the next day, and I didn't again. And I think it was either the 12th or the 13th that I started walking again. So I went all the way back to the beginning, where I first had success in 2009, where, for 3 months I walked. And
Did you do did you have a weight loss goal? Did you write down like a number and put it up somewhere like you had done the first time?
I used an app again called Lose It, LOSEIT. And I put my goal in there, which I think I put 155 because that was kind of the range I was in when I was running marathons in 2010, 2011. I put that in the app, and I just started walking again. You know, I don't know how many months I walked. Actually, I do know how many because I walked up until we went on vacation. I think it was the third week of August 2015. We were in Hilton Head. So just about a year ago, we were in Hilton Head, and I went for my first run in, I couldn't tell you how long it had been since I had tried to run. And I ran maybe the first time wasn't that far, maybe 3 miles. And I ran to the Omni Hotel where we just loved the Omni Hotel in Hilton Head. And I ran to the hotel and back, and I didn't have pain. And I remember just being floored, like, holy crap, I just ran again. And I was able to run again, and I wasn't in pain. And like, it changed everything for me, you know? So I put walking aside at that point, and I started running.
I feel like in that time, you know, when we came back, or even maybe when we were in Hilton Head, that we had done some walk run.
Yeah, we did on the beach.
Times.
You're right. With the stroller on the beach, we were running.
Yeah. Like that was, I know for myself, that was really effective in building up my ability to run. And so I think that was also helped you to build up some of that strength in your feet and in your knees, your legs in general.
We did a lot of walking between June and August.
We sure did.
A lot of walking. I mean, I was walking
on swim team when we were walking, when they were doing that.
I was walking every day. Yeah. I think that at one point, I
don't think you rested for a while.
At one point,
all.
I think, you know, for, I don't know, it might have been 10 weeks that I walked every single day. Some days, multiple days. I didn't take a day off because in my mind, I was associating my sobriety with my physical exercise. Like, you know, in my mind, I think at the time I had equated, you know, my freedom from alcohol with this newfound physical activity. And even when I started running afterwards, I think in my mind I had thought, you know, this is what God was using to give me the freedom that I was experiencing.
Yeah.
But I came to reject that idea at a later date.
Yeah.
So anyway, you know, running, we got back from vacation, and during vacation, like you said, we walked. At one point, I the entire length of the island and back, which was a ridiculous distance when half of it was on the beach in the wind going backwards. Yeah. I think when we hit the island, I was 175 pounds, and when we left the island, I was 169 pounds.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I was under 170 pounds and longer than I could remember. And I just remember coming back to Atlanta or Locust Grove and just being so pumped that my weight was going down and that I think maybe I'm going to be able to run again.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So you you walked for a significant amount of time. Then you attempted running. You found that. And I kind of wonder if, and I think we've talked about this before, we thought that perhaps having taken the weight off to a certain degree may have helped your foot in the first place, because there wasn't that weight on your feet. Sometimes the you know, people will tell me, you know, I can't do this, I can't do that because I've got this ailment and this issue, and I don't want to, you know, I know there are very real ailments out there that make people ache, that make there's arthritis, there's all kinds of stuff going on. However, being overweight, your frame was made to hold a certain amount of weight. Everybody's frame was built differently. But some people have thinner bones. Some people have, thicker bones. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. And so, Michael's body wasn't meant to carry that amount of weight. And so that on top of the fact that at his work, he was walking up and down stairs all the time.
Really,
his body wasn't meant to have that weight and to be doing that.
Yeah.
So I think there was some significant physical healing that was going on too, which was allowed because he lost that weight.
And the whole idea of running for me changed the second time.
Yeah.
So the first time when I got into running and I started this running group and I started hanging out with people that were excellent runners, competitive runners, people that were, doing Ironman competitions, people that were placing first, people that were placing first in, runs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm competitive. And, as a marathon runner, the big thing in marathon running is qualifying for the Boston Marathon. You have a certain age group. For me, it was 40 to 45. And if you ran, I think the Boston Marathon, my time was 3 hours and 15 minutes. If I could run that, then I would be fast enough to qualify.
Mm-hmm.
And I focused so much energy into trying to do this. And I was running ridiculous, fast and often. When I first injured myself the worst, I was trying to build up to running 10 miles a day, 5 days a week, and 20 miles a day, 1 day a week. That was my goal. And that's when I experienced the trauma in my foot that lasted for 3 years. And when God graciously gave me running back the second time, I was just thankful to be running.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea of competition, the whole idea of trying to beat something faded away.
Mm-hmm.
Until I ran the 50K race at Sweetwater, which wasn't even a race, called Fat Ass. It's like a free event. When I went to that and I saw friends that I knew running, my competition, the idea of competition flared in my brain, and I tried to run much harder than I should have. Anyway, that's getting way ahead. But yeah, the thing I think that has helped me to remain being able to run this time is that I run as my body tells me.
Mm-hmm.
And I listen to my body, and when it tells me to slow down, I do, and it tells me to walk, I walk. The idea of running at some speed or trying to accomplish some time goal just isn't part of the equation.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to bring up, and that a good component of exercising, of fitness for anyone is that we just cannot let that competitiveness play such a strong role where it takes over, because it can get you in trouble. Really, the only thing that you need to be competitive with is just yourself, and just pushing yourself a little further, and being kind to your body when it needs to rest, and paying attention to those signs. And it's a balance that you learn. It's not a balance that you're going to know right away. You learn your body's signals. You learn its messages to you. When you ignore the messages, then you pay for it. And when you listen to the messages, then you gain I think just the blessing of, especially when it's the message of I've got to rest, and you actually do it. Then when you get back into it, you reap the fruit of rest.
The last 3 months, I've rested,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm starting to train, and my body needed that rest. I beat the heck out of it to accomplish a personal goal. After that, it needed
some significant
rest. Needed significant
So I think another thing people would be curious about is what was what were you doing on the side of your nutritional aspect of this? What was your eating?
Well,
Because I
you
know
what I
the
did,
first time was different than the second
yeah.
time.
So, for the Lose It app, you would put in your goal, your current goal, and then you would enter in your exercise, and it would tell you how many calories you could eat. So say, in a day it was 1,700 calories. If I went out and ran 6 miles, let's say, it would say, okay, you burned 560 calories.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can eat an extra. You can eat 2,200.
Yeah.
And I would, in the app, it would be you could put a hamburger from McDonald's in there. You could put. I did weigh stuff. You could put ice cream in there. You put candy bar and all those things. So I didn't diet per se, but I did stick to what this thing was telling
certain
me.
Calorie
How many
parameters.
Right. If you want to continue losing, if you exercise and you eat this calories that it's telling me, I will continue to lose weight. And I lost weight eating pizza and ice cream and candy bars and other stuff. Not that
but not out of control.
I'm not saying every day I'm eating that, but I'm just, if I wanted to have ice cream, I just factored it in my day.
Exactly.
Like, okay, this morning, I'm going to eat a little lighter and I'm going to have tortilla with 1 egg on it, which I think is about 180 calories because I use fat-free spray and I'd put some hot sauce on it. And, at lunch, at work, I'd eat a lighter salad with some salmon because I know at the end of the day, I had a half-gallon ice cream at home and I really wanted to have that.
Yeah.
So I was going to eat my calories, that I wanted at the end.
Yeah.
And say no to other stuff,
Yeah. So the Lose It app
really speak very
it taught
highly
Michael about, it's kind of like, it's funny, actually, now I'm just putting this together right now with like the Dave Ramsey cash envelope system.
Yeah.
You've got an envelope, say it's your grocery envelope, and you have, I don't know, let's say you have $145 for the week, right? So it's the same way. You've got, let's say, 1,700 calories for that day. Well, you can spend that 1,700 calories however you want. But you also have to keep in mind the way you spend them also, it will determine how you feel inside. So Michael knew that, if he had gone the route of eating 1,700 calories worth of ice cream, his running experience the next day wasn't going to feel great. Mm-hmm. So it gave you, it also taught you like which foods, like how many calories that food was. So you could just start to kind of be like, yeah, I know that that's going to be, if I eat that egg and that tortilla, yeah, it's going to be that much. And so it familiarized you with the calories of food.
Of what calories are in food.
Yeah.
And, the 1,700 was way down at the end of my weight loss goal. So in the beginning, it might have been 2,600 calories, to lose weight at this, at 206 pounds, it might have been 2,700 calories. And then as you lose weight, it's telling you have less, less calories. Your body doesn't need as many calories, or you can't intake as many calories to maintain your weight loss.
Right.
And there were plateaus in there too, which were really, really frustrating. A week or two where things didn't move, but I maintained what I was doing, or kept the same calories, but I would have more. When you hit a plateau, there's no formula to get out of it. But as long as you stay with it, it eventually breaks.
Patience.
Yeah.
It seems like patience was the formula.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Especially when in the beginning you start losing weight. You drop weight, and then all of a sudden you're like, what the heck? What happened?
What
your body's just putting the brakes.
Yeah.
And okay.
And you were always trying to work with not putting, the thing with the weight loss is that you don't want to put your body into starvation mode. You do have to feed your body, and you need to feed it all day long. So you want to keep that fire burning. If you make that fire go too low, it's kind of like a fire in the fireplace. If it gets too low, it'll die out, and your body will think, oh, we're starving now.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
you know,
you can't
hang on to all the fat that's in my body.
You know, if it's telling you you need 1,500, you know, you can put in, you want to lose a half pound a week, 1 pound a week, 1.5, 2 pounds a week. You know, if you put in 2 pounds a week and it's telling you eat 1,800 calories a day, and you're like, well, I'm just going to show that I'm going to eat 1,400. And now all of a sudden your body thinks, what the heck? It's going to actually try to hold on to that weight.
Yeah.
You can't be over aggressive.
Right.
You can't attempt to do more than 2 pounds a week.
Yeah.
You might lose more than 2 pounds a week if you stay on that plan. And there's weeks I lost 5 pounds.
Right.
But it wasn't because I was cutting my calories. It was just my body burned the heck out of everything I was eating.
Yeah. All right. So any parting advice to people who might watch at some point and say, I relate. Give me some advice. Obviously, one of those things would be, hey, how about choosing that app? That app is really helpful.
I think the Lose It app or something like it. I had great success with it. I mean, I'm sure there's 100 of them out there. I like the fact that it had a bar scanner. So if you had a box of crackers and you scanned it, then it would tell you, oh yeah, each cracker is
that's right.
20
UPC
calories.
code, right?
The UPC code, you could scan it and it would tell you what it is.
Yeah.
If it wasn't in the app, it would pull it through the internet. And so I'm sure there's other apps out there. That one worked really good for me. It sent you emails when you accomplish goals, or little badges would come up. There's a community of people that you can chat with. Not that I did, but you could communicate with other people that are, they write blogs and kind of tell about their experience every day.
Yeah.
So I have no affiliation with this app. There's nothing.
We're not getting any money by
there's
telling
nothing.
you
I'm
about
just
them.
it worked well for me using that. I've told a ton of people that just starting walking, you know, all of my weight loss journey started with walking, and I accomplished a whole bunch in walking, and I feel confident that if I had just kept walking, that I could have achieved the same results that I have right now. It just would take longer. You know, a mile of walking and a mile of running, you know, I think walking, it's probably, 90 calories. Running, depending how fast you are, might be 120 calories. It's not a whole lot different. It just takes longer. And I signed up for Audible on Amazon, and I would listen to books, audio books, and some great audio books. And I'd go out there and walk 10 miles, just go around the circle in our neighborhood listening to books. And walking is amazing. I've gotten into ultra running now, and I've run 50 mile, accomplished running 50 miles. And now my next goal is to try to accomplish running 100 miles, which is awesome. But if you're just a walker, I really feel like you can accomplish some awesome goals if you track what you're eating. You think you know how many calories you're eating. You think you know what you do, but when you actually put it down and you make yourself record it and you see it, and at the end of the day, it's like, hey, you exceeded your calories by 800. There it is. It's telling you, hey, you're going to keep gaining weight unless you make a change.
And they can also use the Map My Run app and record it as walking. There is a choice.
Correct.
For walking.
So with Lose It, you can.
Can you connect those
You can
two?
connect Map My Run and Lose It, where when you walk, you hit start and you go on a walk, and then you hit stop and, save, and it takes however many calories you burned, and it puts it right on the Lose It app.
Which is just great.
So
helpful.
So now when you go on Lose It and it says, oh, you burned 400 calories today, you can eat more. It doesn't mean you have to. You could just stay, and there's many days I didn't. There's many days I stayed on my budget, but you can, now you've got some calories to work with, and tracking your food probably was one of the most significant
Yeah.
significant things. You just don't realize how many calories that you put in your body.
Yeah.
And the last thing for me is, I thought that running was the thing that had set me free. That's why running totally free. I stopped drinking and I started running, and I thought God had used running was the magic formula, or exercise was the magic formula that God could use to set somebody free from their addiction, from their struggle with eating, with whatever was causing them to be in bondage. And I did some real soul searching and Bible reading, and came to the conclusion that the freedom that someone experiences through the shed blood of Jesus is the only freedom that there is. The reason I didn't drink today, and that I went and ran 10 miles, and that I spent the day with my kids and didn't have a hangover today, was because Jesus died for me. He died for you. And he promises in his word freedom of all different kinds. In his book, there's all different kinds of promises that he makes that end in freedom. The first one is the freedom from sin and the freedom from death. And that's the only true freedom, because tomorrow I might wake up and my foot's bad again, or I twist my ankle, or there's something could happen that could impede this. But there's nothing that could happen that could take my spiritual freedom away.
Yeah.
And that's the most important freedom. If you're struggling with something, it's got to start with spiritual freedom. You might do something physically, and it might achieve some results for you that you're trying to achieve. But if you're looking for lasting freedom of the soul, it's got to start with acknowledging that you're a sinner, and Jesus died for sinners, and that shed blood paid the price for you and for anyone that would receive the fact that he did it.
Yeah.
And that's the freedom I have. So coming on 14 months without a drink, and I just started my training plan to accomplish running 100 miles. And with God's grace, I'm going to do it, but I might not. I'm going to try my best. And the last thing I didn't mention was the Dr. Phil Maffetone, Maffetone, I think. The math heart rate is the thing that allowed me to run 50 miles. So it's your age minus 45 is your math heart rate. So I'm going to lose a beat this year, and I'm going to be down to 134 when I turn 46. But right now I'm at 135. And I keep my heart rate at 135 or below, and when it exceeds it, I walk. And that regiment and that control of my physical output is the thing that's allowed me to go and run. When I was training for the 50 one day, I think I ran 28, and the day after I ran 18 miles and felt good. And it was because of that training program. Some people think he's nuts and he doesn't know what he's doing. I totally subscribe.
And that's not Dr. Phil, as in Dr.
Dr. Phil. This isn't. Yeah, this is Dr. He's a exercise physiologist. He worked with the two greatest triathletes of the 80s and 90s, and he's wrote all kinds of books. And his latest one was about breaking the 2-hour marathon speed record.
Yeah.
But anyway, I subscribe to this. If you are 60, 70, 80, 30 pounds overweight, and you get a heart rate monitor and you strap it on yourself and you try to get near whatever your age is, minus 45, and don't exceed that, you can go from couch potato to ultra marathon runner.
And that's so true, because Michael's the one who wears the heart thing on him. And through the rest of the winter, I ran with Michael most days, and I would stop. When he stopped, I stopped, even though I'm younger than him. And I was able to complete 31 miles
50K.
At my first 50K, I hadn't even done a marathon before. And that was all because I trained with that program through Michael. In fact, last year.
Noah as well.
And Noah as well.
And he ran 20 and a half,
Yeah.
20.6 miles.
Yeah. Doing the same thing.
And he's going to get to much further.
He
than
is.
that.
He's going to be fine. And then in regards to the weight loss, you know, I had just given birth to Gabe, and basically I would just watch whatever Michael was eating. Pretty much I would just do the same thing. I would the same portions on the plate because I knew he was weighing it. I would just ask him what he was eating for the day, and I would just follow along with it. And I not only lost the baby weight, but following, you know, along with his running program, I'm at the lowest weight I've ever been. And also doing, you know, the thing I do differently than Michael is that I do the Millionaire Hoy. I don't watch. I actually work out with his YouTube videos, and I focus a lot on what I want to say, on the core and on weightlifting and high intensity interval training. And as a woman, I have found that has really that helped to, I want to say, kind of just get the fires burning hotter in my metabolism and burn off that just to get me to that, to what's my best physique I think I've ever had. So that would be another suggestion.
I got a pull-up bar,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't. In the last 3 months, my pull-up regimen and my push-up regimen has gone down. So this right here isn't as good as it was, but now I'm back to training, so that part of it's going to come back in. And our friend Thomas, who worked me out one day, and
Hi, Thomas, if you watch this.
and was working. Hey, Thomas was working, beating the heck out of me and giving me some great stuff to incorporate. At the time, it was just too much.
Yeah.
But I do want to get back to the stuff. I'd like to go back and have them work me again. And
because we do know, I grew up learning that you need to build up your muscle tone, because your muscles are your best friends when it comes to burning calories as well. Because the more muscle tone that you have, they are burning calories while you're resting. So that's like free weight loss right there. At least that's kind of how I consider, I think of it. So that would be another thing to mention. So we should probably wrap this just about up.
The last thing I was going to say is just, when you're whatever weight you are, it's hard to imagine getting to where you want to be.
Yeah.
It's really hard to imagine yourself as being fit when you are so unfit. But, you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Because if you don't start, you're going to continue going the other way. And but if you do start and you stick with it, you're going to get there wherever it is. And though I like how I look, and I'm gonna, during my 100-mile training, I know I'm gonna really be happy. It just feels so good to be on this side of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? All of the sacrifice, everything that went into it. For me, starting with not drinking, God's grace. I can't even tell you why I didn't drink that day, but I didn't. It's awesome on this side.
Yeah.
To feel good about myself instead of being shameful, or feeling shameful like I can't go to the pool, or I can't. Not that everybody's different, right? I mean, everybody's what they want to weigh or how they feel about themselves is different. Me, as an overweight person, I just felt horrible about myself. A gentleman that I work with, he was making a joke, and it actually helped me. And he was telling me to unbutton the button on my jacket because it looked so tight because of how much I weighed. And that I knew that how overweight I was, and I knew how crappy I felt. And but it's so great to be on this side of it again.
Yeah.
And I know even if running like was taken away, you know, it was, if I could walk, I walk, you know, walking's great. I have some great memories from walking. Listened to some awesome books. Really did. Zig Ziglar, listened to a whole bunch of his
Both
books.
have. There's lots of YouTube sermons and
Yeah, I mean, it's
that
I've
so
listened to
many
a whole
things
bunch
that
of
have
whole
we've
bunch of
grown from.
blogs, running
Mhm.
blogs of people that were where I wanted to get to.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to them and being like, "You run 50 miles? How do you run? How did you get there?"
Yeah.
And it's the same now. You know, it's like when you're where you are and you look at where you want to be, and you're like, "How am I ever gonna get there?" But if you just get started on the journey,
Yes. And you know what? I think that's another important key that we should share with you is that in our journey, Michael did this, I did this. In our ears, as we were out walking or running, we have always had encouragement in our ears. So maybe it was, like he said, it would be people talking about ultra marathoning, you know, people who were major, you know, major people in the running world, maybe a radio program where they talked about running. For me, the same thing, I might listen to that kind of a program, or I'd be listening to sermons that just encouraged my heart.
Yeah.
Or I'd be listening to somebody who was talking about health, or listening to something that encouraged me, anything that was positive. And so when you surround yourself like Zig Ziglar or Michael Hyatt.
I listened to Ziglar.
Yeah.
I mean, I wore
You
those
want
books
to
out.
listen to people who are encouraging you, who want you to succeed, because we have so many people around us who don't speak good things into our lives, who want us to remain where we are because that's where they are. And so they want to keep company with people who are like them. They don't want you to leave.
Yeah.
So
I have people-
you need to have that in
I
your
have
ears.
people now that constantly tell me I'm too skinny.
Yeah.
That I'm too skinny.
Yes, I have people tell me, we need to feed you.
Yeah,
We need to
but-
fatten you up.
When I was fat, nobody was telling me, "Man, you look good." You know,
Right.
that big boy jacket and shirt, your button's about to pop off. Yeah, that's nice. That's a good style.
That's a good look.
You
Right.
know, but I think even on this end, some of the people that say you're too skinny are saying that because inside there's a I don't know, it's a jealousy or a like, why did you achieve this goal?
Yeah,
You know, I wish I could be like that.
yeah.
And the fact is, anyone
But anybody can do this.
can do it. And like I said,
Anybody.
even if you didn't run a step, if
Yeah,
you
you don't have to run.
if you said, you know what, I'm going to dedicate the next year, and I'm just going to walk when I can, whether it's on a break at work, whether it's in the morning, whether it's at night. I'm just going to go for a walk, and I'm going to try to increase the distance, maybe walk a little bit faster over time. If you did that for a year and you tracked your food, you would be amazed at what you could accomplish.
Yeah.
Really, it's incredible.
Yes. Yes. So there's hope, and we wanted you to know that there's hope, and you can change, and you don't have to stay the same. You can. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how crappy you feel, how much your body is telling you, oh no, you can't do this. You're not capable of this. That's a lie. It's not true. It's amazing how when you start making good food choices and making good fitness choices, all of a sudden, a lot of those aches and pains start going away.
Yeah.
So just take one step at a time. Just one step at a
Yeah,
time. One
literally.
day at a time.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. You know,
So-
maybe you get into running, maybe you find it, but I firmly believe in walking and tracking your food.
Yeah.
You know, in 3 months' time,
Yes.
if you stuck with it for if you just did 3, you know, I'm going to dedicate 90 days to doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get an app like Lose It. I'm going to put in, you know, I want to lose X amount of time in 90 days.
I'm going to track it on Map
And
My
I'm
Run.
going to track it on Map My Run and
Mhm.
connect those two. And you followed that and drank a lot of water
Yeah, we did drink a lot of
because
water.
soda has a lot of calories. You're probably going to want to get rid of that.
Yeah.
Or the sweet tea. You know, you'll have to figure out what you want to do for calories. But if you do that 90 days, you know, you talk about P90X and doing all that crazy stuff for 90 days. It's someone who's like way over. You can't comprehend P90X.
No.
But if you can comprehend in a simple app on your phone
Mm-hmm.
and walking for 90 days and trying to walk further when you can, and you know, if your body hurts, you slow down,
Yeah.
stop, and you walk when it's, you know,
Mhm.
not. You'd be amazed just in 90 days what you could do.
Yeah. And none of what we told you costs a bunch of money.
No,
Did you see that we didn't offer you vitamin programs? We didn't offer you shakes. We didn't offer you,
although I really like protein shakes.
and I do like protein bars, but we didn't tell you that that was like the magic formula, because it's not. It's just not. So hopefully you gained something from this.
Yeah, if you sat through the
If you
longest
sat
video
through the
ever.
whole thing.
Holy cow.
Break this up, people. You know, break this
Yeah, we
up
should've done
over
this as a-
cooking dinner
We should have
and.
done each question as one part.
But you know what? People can do that. I mean, it's not like you can't stop, pause
Yeah,
the
that's
video,
true.
and come back to it. I certainly have.
Yeah.
So, anyway, thank you for listening.
Yeah,
we hope this
I hope we
has
didn't drop some
inspired you.
subscribers this week. We're gonna go from 115 to 90. But I didn't know it was this kind of show. Why are you making me feel guilty? 'Cause I'm overweight? I'm not trying to make you feel guilty. I'm
Well,
telling
you know what? I've always said, you know what? If you don't like what we have to talk about, we can still be friends. You just don't have to watch this one.
Hey, you know
That's
what?
all.
And if you're comfortable with whatever you look like, whatever weight you're at,
Right.
if you're comfortable and you feel good about yourself, then that's all that matters.
Exactly.
I just know I didn't feel good about myself where I was, so I needed to make
And
a
you
change.
knew that by your what is it called? By your blood pressure level, he knew that he wasn't healthy.
Yeah, I
and
was
that he was
very
in
unhealthy.
danger.
And you
So-
know, I keep saying one last thing. When we got life insurance, and I put
Oh
in
my.
as the high, you know, I said we're going to be in the highest rated, A++ preferred, you know, somebody in the best of health. And they came and they took my blood and they did all my tests.
That was this year.
That was this year.
Had it been last
Right.
year,
No, so I brought, you know, I didn't know what all the tests meant, so I made an appointment to see our doctor, Jamie Estes, which we love
Uh-huh.
Jamie and Andrea, and went to see him to say, hey, how does this look? And he's like, they're all perfect. And he's like, your good cholesterol is some of the highest that I've ever seen.
meaning the
The-
highest good cholesterol levels. He
Good
means
cholesterol, the good cholesterol, I don't know if that's
I forget which one it is,
HDL.
or LDL. I don't
Whatever
know.
one is supposed to be really high.
Yeah,
He said that high mark was the best he's ever seen.
yeah.
So some of the best. So in a year, my entire
Body system,
body, like everything,
the chemistry.
the whole thing. I mean, my heart rate is down. My pulse, my resting pulse now, I think is 60 beats, which I was told was pretty good.
Yeah.
And my blood pressure, everything.
Yeah.
Everything is back to good. And that was with, you know, eating a lot of crap during the year. I'm just saying, I'm not advocating eating lettuce and, you know, pita bread.
All the time.
Yeah, I mean, just
Yeah.
eat real food and track what you eat, and then, you know, be like, oh, I can't eat this entire sub.
Right. Because I only have this many calories.
I can
left.
eat a quarter of it
tomorrow.
now, and then I'll eat another quarter of it later. And you know, sometimes you're gonna hate what it tells you.
Mhm.
I like how you
You're gonna be mad, and you're like, why the heck did I take all those calories in at noon,
Right.
and now it's 11 o'clock at night, and my stomach is grumbling, and I can't stand it. And you're like, all right, well, you know, even if you blow it tonight, all right, tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That
That
was
was just
lightning.
lightning.
Yeah.
We have a
Downstairs.
thunderstorm. You may have been hearing it in the background.
All right,
so.
let's let these
No,
poor
they-
people
Yeah,
go.
we're gonna let them go.
Oh!
Whoa! Wow! All
We
right.
might lose power, so we better stop.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you for staying with us in another video. We appreciate you.
That was a little challenge.
If you liked our video, if you're liking our videos, please subscribe below. We'd love to have you as a subscriber, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.